Hi everyone, welcome back. Our previous episode was about fillers and aging the face, which actually can happen. So if you're interested, go back, take a look at that. Now we're talking about filler dysmorphia. But first I want to get on the same page, right? In order to have a discussion, we have to have the same ideology of the discussion. So what is facial dysmorphia? Facial dysmorphia, according to AI and Google and search engines, is facial dysmorphia is a distorted way of viewing your face, often caused by body dysmorphic disorder or body image disorders, where you're perceiving your body as something other than what it is. So as we look at facial dysmorphia, what we're seeing is individuals are not understanding or not seeing what they are looking like after having repeated and sometimes too much filler done. BDD, body dysmorphic disorder. However, facial dysmorphia, I don't think is in the ICD-9 or code of diagnosis yet. However, facial dysmorphia comes out of body dysmorphia. It's part of your body. So what is some of the psychological issues that are associated with this is that facial dysmorphia is kind of on a spectrum. We all have a little bit of facial dysmorphia. I'm going to start with a little story about my dysmorphia that I do have. Now, I always perceive my arms as being very thin, right? Very small. I always think I have spaghetti arms. And this came because when I was 9 years old, we were playing marbles in front of the house. And if you don't know, marbles is you have little glass spherical balls that you would kind of pitch and you make a game out of it. And one of my uncles came by and he started to play with us. Now he was in his 30s and I was like 9 years old, and his arms were giant like a tree trunk, and my arms were like little twigs from a branch. From that day on, I always see my arms as so thin and so small. Now I know everyone tells me that my arms are fine, it looks good, but in my mind, my perception is that my arms are really thin. So this is dysmorphia. So everyone has some type of body dysmorphia. It is on a spectrum. You may be very slight or you may be very major in terms of the altered perception of your body or your face. Injectables can help with facial dysmorphia, but not really, because facial dysmorphia and body dysmorphia is a psychological issue that cannot be fixed with a physical remedy. This is why individuals coming to the medical spas having treatments done, we should always be on the lookout for a few key things that may tell us that this patient may or may not overdo their treatments. So let's look at some of the things that we will look at. First, I love to identify kind of strong appearances or things that are out of the average norm, right? The spectrum of norm that we call normal. And one thing is eyebrows. You know, take a look at the eyebrows. If the eyebrows come across crazy, then there's a hint that that person's facial dysmorphia is or might be a little on the high spectrum or even medium. Next, I look at piercings. Piercings are not bad. I have piercings. It's the abundance of piercings beyond what you typically see that may hint you to think that this person may have some type of facial or body dysmorphia. The next is the nose jobs. How many nose jobs? By the age of 30, you should not have more than 2 nose jobs. Typically, the more nose jobs you have, the worse the nose is going to get. And that's where fillers come in, but that's a different episode. Next is going to be the tone in the discussion. How does the patient sound? Is the patient asking you for a feature on the face like cheeks or maybe lips and crying, or having distress within the conversation? If this is occurring, then this is definitely hinting to a facial dysmorphic scenario in the client. Now, Cody, you've seen faces on the train, maybe in the city, and you're asking yourself about how in the world can this individual look like this? The ethical considerations are the consumerism and consumeristic lifestyle of the United States, right? So what we have is consumerism, right? We want to buy what we want. Consumerism is a social and economic order in which the goals of many individuals include the acquisition of goods and services beyond those that are necessary for survival or for traditional displays of status. So the need to buy and to want, and because you can afford it, you want it. The problem is you don't always get what you want, because what you want depends on your practitioner's expertise, understanding, and ability to give you what you're looking for without looking abnormal. One issue that I come across is many clients may come and they may ask for a simple feature from an injector. However, the injector may make some mistakes, maybe it doesn't look right, and now that patient is on a journey of treatment and correction to tend to correct and fix what was done originally. However, each time you're adding more and more filler to do a correction, you're changing this person's face beyond the average norm. Patients get used, clients, people, we all get used to what we see in the mirror to a point where we don't see it anymore. And therefore, if we're returning for more and more injections, it's up to your medical provider to hint to you or to advise you that maybe we shouldn't go in that route, and to try to steer you into seeing what facial dysmorphia looks like. I have a pamphlet in my office where I may show a few patients what it looks like. Here's picture number one. This a lady with the nice thick eyebrows, thick eyelashes. She's got that beauty mark on the upper lip on the left, but look at her cheeks. What she was saying is, this is my face, this is what I like, and so why should it be ridiculed for what I like? Yes, that is a valid point, but there are other points to consider. When you start going down a destructive path, it lends to depression and a whole host of other medical, psychological issues that can embody that individual. And sometimes these concerns that we have with individuals with huge cheeks or long chins is that we really don't want to see these individuals dive into the depth of depression and anxiety and everything else. So body and facial dysmorphia all embodies what you're talking about. Why is the individual going down the road or the path of extreme looks? Look at Mike Tyson when he did a tattoo on his face. Would you say Mike Tyson has facial dysmorphia? Maybe not, because he likely did it for a different reason. So with facial dysmorphia, it's on a spectrum, and where that spectrum lies, it requires a psychological evaluation to determine, what is the goal of the individual and the intention of the individual as well. Here we're going to have a picture number 2 where we have a before and after, and it says cosmetic surgery turned us into aliens. So we're going to highlight that on the screen, and if you look at her face, you can see this individual clearly. Look at her eyebrows, her eyebrows and the makeup, it's on the extreme side. It's the same woman, but these are some of the hints that lend us to see that an individual may be having facial dysmorphia. Take a look at her chin and her jaw angle, right? The chin and the jaw angle. How many of us have seen an image where there's a really sharp angled, flat jaw angle going to a pointed chin? And that's where we're going to go into picture number 3, where there's a before after on a gray background.
So Clark, really quick before we move on to the woman with the jawline, in regards to this woman from Ukraine, because I think what everybody wants to know is what are the ramifications, medically and physically, of doing this to her cheeks and to her face? How does she sleep?
Great question.
What if she keeps going?
Love it. The first thing I would like to know is what type of filler is in the face, because that changes everything. And there are different types of fillers. There's HA, hyaluronic acid, acido hyaluronic, right? Then there's PLLA, which is a radiofiller, but it's a biostimulator, but it's still injected to inflate. Then there's the calcium hydroxyapatite.
Can you give the names of the brands since people will be a little
Some of the
more
brands are
familiar?
not in the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sculptra, PLLA, Radius, calcium hydroxyapatite, hyaluronic acid like Restylane or Juvederm.
Okay.
And then there's methylcredit that's not available in the United States. That's a permanent filler.
Oh my
Then
God.
there's the silicone. So silicone is also a considered a filler.
Wait. People are still using silicone.
People are still using silicone. So there are many physicians and surgeons that are still believing that they can do tiny aliquots of silicone to create a long-lasting result, and they are delusional.
Right.
Because as that patient's face ages and becomes thinner, the silicone doesn't retreat. The silicone continues to grow over time. So silicone in the face should be illegal for any practicing practitioner on this earth, in this country.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So the ramifications also is overstretched skin. Now the skin, imagine the skin as a plastic bag. When you overstretch that bag, what happens when you release the pressure? It's wrinkled and it's flabby. Yeah. So if she leaves these fillers in her cheeks for way too long, what's going to happen? As the fillers deflate, they're going to fall. She's going to get those deep facial crevices that runs down on the cheek. She will also have premature pre-jowls, pre-super jowls, and infra-jowls she will develop as well. She will change her face negatively, thus returning to have more fillers to correct these changes. And so the cycle keeps going on and on and on. Let's look at her lips. Same scenario. The lips are overinflated to match the cheeks because you can't have these cheeks and tiny lips. But now we're looking at the chin also. What's going on with her chin, Cody?
Yeah, it's a lot. It almost looks like she's got a ball at the bottom of her chin.
That's right. Now fillers can't do that. Do you know why?
Because you can't create that shape, maybe? I don't.
Well, this shape is too dramatic. This is more likely an implant.
Yeah.
Because a filler is a gel. A gel is not rock solid that's going to keep that form unless it's done over a matter of years.
Got it.
So to have such a sharp angle, this has to be implant. More likely, I think it's an implant. The cheeks can be a filler. On the before image with the large earrings and the black background, black hair, brunette image.
Her original.
This is her original face. So if you look at her chin and you look at the after, you can see that there's a lot going on here that's not just filler alone. If you look at her nose is overdone. Her cheeks, the one thing she didn't do, which I think probably would have made things look a little better, is her temples.
I feel like by accentuating, like drastically accentuating the cheekbones and everything else, her eyes look smaller. She had big, beautiful eyes before, and now you don't look at her eyes at all.
Question, yes. Scale of 0 to 10. Would any guy, because guys find anything attractive, do you feel any guy would find her attractive?
I do.
Yeah, right? It's crazy. All right, guys, so listen, this is facial dysmorphia and how things can occur, the factors that lead up to facial dysmorphia. There's a lot of things to consider with facial dysmorphia. It's not just overfilled lips and overfilled cheeks. There's ramifications in the future. When you're extending your skin so much, you will pay the price and you will suffer. That's it for this episode, but stay tuned. Our next episode is coming up and it's going to be about... We have a lot more to discuss on facial dysmorphia, so stay tuned for part 2. It's coming next. Hey guys, if you're enjoying these videos, take a look at my new book, The Lust for Medical Beauty. This has everything you need to know about the origins of facial beauty, where it can take you, and why we need so much more. So check out Amazon #1 bestseller. It's the only place you can get it now, The Lust for Medical Beauty.